When a billionaire witnessed a black waiter speak German, you won't believe what happened next. The night was electric, charged with the kind of tension that makes your skin tingle. In the heart of Manhattan, at an upscale restaurant where the chandeliers sparkled like stars caught in glass, an extraordinary event unfolded. Wealthy patrons whispered and sipped their fine wines, completely unaware that within moments, their lives would change forever. At a table draped in crisp white linen, a billionaire sat, his presence commanding, like a king surveying his domain. He was known to throw lavish parties, but tonight, the air felt different. It was thick with uncertainty. Suddenly, into the bustling room came Marcus, a young black waiter with an unexpected twist. He approached the billionaire's table, and in that moment, the room fell silent. What happened next was beyond anyone's imagination. "Can I take your order?" Marcus asked, his voice steady, but behind it lay the weight of a mystery. The billionaire looked up, and for the first time, he noticed something unusual. There was a flicker in Marcus's eyes, a spark of confidence that hinted at hidden depths. In a bold move that left everyone on edge, Marcus opened his mouth and spoke in perfect German. His words rolled like a whisper of silk, enchanting yet strange, echoing against the cold autumn night. Gasps rippled through the crowd. How could a black waiter in a ritzy New York restaurant possibly speak German? Chairs squeaked as people leaned in closer, straining to catch every word, every nuance of the unexpected exchange. They exchanged glances filled with disbelief. A murmur spread like wildfire, anticipation coiling tighter around them. What struck them most was not just that he spoke German, but how he spoke it familiar, like he belonged. The billionaire's brow furrowed, curiosity deepening into intrigue. This was not just a waiter, there was something extraordinary about him. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But just as the tension reached a fever pitch, a loud crash echoed through the restaurant, shattering the moment. A glass tipped over, sending liquid spilling across the table as Marcus, startled, turned his attention back to the billionaire. Was there something more to this encounter? Could there be a connection between them that went deeper than mere conversation? The billionaire's expression shifted from curiosity to something darker, a crease forming on his forehead. The air thickened with suspense. What would happen next? What secrets lay hidden behind Marcus's flash of brilliance? As whispers filled the restaurant once more, the questions only grew. Who was this waiter really? What compelled him to speak another language in such a high-stakes environment? And what dangerous game were they about to play? The answers loomed, tantalizingly out of reach. All those present felt it in their bones, something big was about to happen. The spilled wine pooled like crimson secrets on the white tablecloth, a vivid reminder that things rarely go as planned. Marcus's heart raced in his chest. He could feel the eyes of the room burning into him, the weight of scrutiny pressing against his skin. The billionaire, visibly shaken but holding on to his composure, leaned in closer, almost as if the space between them crackled with unspoken histories. "What was that?" the billionaire said, his voice barely above a whisper, yet everyone could hear the tremor in his tones. Marcus swallowed hard. The weight of his revelation loomed over him like a shadow. He had not planned this, had never intended to expose his talent in such a public way. The German language had always felt like a bridge to another world, one he was desperate to escape. Yet here he was, grasping at fragments of that world, showing a side of himself that he rarely let anyone see. I lived there for a time. In Germany, Marcus replied, his voice steadier than he felt. The truth choked him, he had left that life behind, or so he thought. Gasps filled the air again, louder this time. The whispers morphed into a tangible buzz. rippling through the throngs of patrons. Some leaned in closer, captivated, while others exchanged dubious looks, wrestling with disbelief. A woman at a nearby table grasped her husband's arm, her eyes wide. "This isn't some kind of show, is it?" she murmured, casting a wary glance around. But the billionaire was not satisfied with just answers. His expression turned calculating, as if every piece of this unfolding drama would somehow serve his interests. "And why should I care about your experiences?" he challenged. Laughter echoed behind him, but it felt hollow. The air was thick with anticipation, vibrating with uncertainty. The young waiter could sense the shift. It was no longer just about language. He was standing on the precipice of something much bigger. The man before him was a titan of industry, known for his ruthless dealings in business and his bitter disposition when threatened. The waitress instinctively stepped back, but he met the billionaire's gaze unflinchingly. "Because I might know more than you think," Marcus declared, feeling the heat of the moment wash over him. Those words hung in the air, heavy with meaning, each syllable drenched in the tension of revelation. For a heartbeat, time stretched. The billionaire's eyes narrowed, his lips pressed into a thin line. "You think you have something on me? What would some waiter know about my world?" Just then, loud enough to disrupt the tense standoff, the restaurant doors swung wide open, a gust of cold wind blowing through. A figure paused at the entrance, silhouetted like a specter against the light from the street. A sudden hush overcame the room. All eyes turned towards the newcomer. It was a woman, striking and poised, dressed in dark clothing that seemed to absorb the light around her. A thrill shot through the crowd as murmurs cascaded like rolling thunder. Who was she? Why did the mood shift so dramatically at her arrival? The energy in the room crackled, as if the air itself sensed the impending storm. Marcus felt a jolt of recognition. This was no ordinary woman. She embodied secrets and danger, and he couldn't shake the feeling that she knew something about him, about the life he'd left behind. "What do you want?" Marcus called out, heart pounding, each word heavy with fate. The woman's lips curled into a sly smile, her eyes glinting with mischief as she stepped forward. Whatever she had come to reveal, it wouldn't be good. As she approached the billionaire, the tension in the room morphed into a palpable threat. The stakes had risen. Nothing would be the same after tonight. What did she know? And how were all their lives intertwined in this unfolding narrative? The answers drifted like smoke, tantalizing yet elusive, prompting the question on everyone's lips: what was truly at risk in this twisted game they were about to play? The piercing silence enveloped the room, thick as fog, as the mysterious woman's presence absorbed every ounce of attention. Eyes shifted between her and the billionaire, anticipation crackling like electricity. Marcus's heart thudded in his chest, each beat echoing the weight of the questions swirling around him. "Do you hear that?" Her voice cut through the tension like a blade, soft yet commanding. "It's the sound of truths waiting to be revealed." The billionaire straightened, a flicker of irritation crossing his sharp features. "I don't need a show. If you have something to say, just say it." He leaned further forward, a predator sizing up an intriguing prey. She laughed lightly, a sound that danced into the air, rife with unseen danger. "Oh, Richard, you always did prefer the sharp edge of conflict over the dull comfort of the ordinary." A smirk flickered on her face. She turned slowly, scanning the crowd, perfume trailing behind her like an alluring secret, drawing them in. Every eye lingered, needing to know more. The woman might have been a stranger, but her confidence felt familiar, intoxicating in its allure. Slowly, she focused back on Marcus, and the smile faded, replaced by something deeper and darker. "Marcus," she began, the way she said his name peeling away layers of his calm facade. "You didn't think you could just walk away from Germany, did you? Some doors can't be closed for good." A chill snaked down his spine. It felt like an accusation, a reminder of choices made, paths chosen. "What do you know about me?" He shot back, trying to sound defiant, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. "More than you can imagine." Her gaze pierced through him, as if she could unravel every thread of his existence. You've tangled deeper than you think. The past doesn't just vanish, it circles back, hoping to collect its due. The billionaire scoffed, shifting uncomfortably. Enough with the riddles. I came here for business, not theatrics. His tone held a sharper edge now. Is it business, Richard, or are you just here to bury your secrets? She challenged, her eyes darting with a dangerous spark, igniting whispers throughout the room. Marcus could feel the tension creeping up. His stomach twisted, but he couldn't look away. The woman positioned herself closer to the billionaire, her voice softening to a conspiratorial whisper. Do you think we've forgotten what you've done? The ghosts of your past are hungry, Richard. They come for their pound of flesh. Gasps erupted, a collective intake of breath that filled the void. Faces that had been curious now turned confused, uncertain of the direction this whirlwind conversation was taking. Are you threatening me? Richard's face contorted, anger flaring as he glanced at Marcus, seeking validation for his fury. No threats, she replied lightly, though the darkness behind her playful tone loomed large. Just an offer. The chance to play the game you know so well. Or will you let them keep dictating your fate? As silence fell again, Marcus's mind raced. She had stirred something deep within him, a yearning mixed with fear. Every word of her invitation tugged at wounds he thought had healed. What do you truly want from this? He wondered aloud, steeling himself against the maze of emotions. She smiled, a sly grin that sent shivers through him. Only what you owe. The question is, will you pay up or run again? The moment lingered, thickening with the weight of unspoken truths. Each gaze in the room felt like a spotlight, illuminating fear and secrecy. Just then, a sharp crash erupted from the back of the restaurant, the sound slicing through the atmosphere. Chairs toppled, and chaos erupted, breaking the spell that had ensnared them all. Get down! Someone shouted amidst the turmoil. The entire restaurant shifted from a moment of profound revelation to one of immediate danger. Marcus's heart raced wildly as he crouched instinctively behind a table, wondering what had triggered this frenzy. The woman's expression shifted to one of resolve. She wasn't just a bystander in this, she was part of something far larger, and he was caught in its web. What had pulled the chaos into their fragile moment? And how much danger lay beyond the veil of her captivating secrets? The restaurant erupted in a cacophony of screams and crashing furniture. Marcus squeezed his eyes shut for a brief moment, heart pounding like a drum inside his chest, the sound nearly drowning out the panic around him. He peered cautiously over the edge of the table, searching for the source of the chaos. In the far corner, shadows loomed larger than life. A group of masked figures had stormed in, brandishing weapons, their intentions clear. Adrenaline shot through him, sharpening his senses, and he felt his instincts kick in. He had to act. Richard! He barked, urgency lacing his voice. But the billionaire was already scrambling for cover, his previously composed facade shattered under the weight of true fear. The woman, however, remained oddly calm, her eyes glinting with the thrill of the unfolding drama. Stay down! She hissed, not taking her gaze off the frantic scene. There was something unnervingly powerful about her, a magnetism that pulled him even as panic tightened around him. The masked intruders shouted commands, their voices harsh. Nobody moves. This is a robbery. A wave of terror rolled through the crowd as tables were overturned and glasses shattered. An older man near the entrance was shivering, eyes wide with disbelief as he tried to comprehend the violent shift from a night of glamour to one of horror. Marcus felt a fierce swell of protectiveness, but his mind raced. He couldn't simply sit back. The urge to confront whatever was happening clawed at him. We need to find a way out, he urged. Not yet, the mysterious woman said, her tone almost playful. This is just the beginning. He looked at her, confusion swirling in his gut. What are you talking about? Something tells me they're not just after cash. They want something much bigger. She tilted her head, observing the chaos as if it were a theatrical performance. Marcus's stomach churned. What do you mean? Before she could respond, a gunshot pierced the air, echoing off the walls like thunder. The crowd collectively gasped. His skin prickled with fear as bodies ducked lower, some scrambling to the exits. "We have to go." But she remained still, a spectator in this sinister play. "If we move now, we might just be running into the trap." "What trap?" he asked, desperation creeping into his voice. "That's the question, isn't it?" Disregarding her words, he turned, ready to bolt, but then a voice rang through the tumult. A deep, confident voice cutting through the panic, speaking in perfect German. "Surrender peacefully and no one will get hurt." The room froze, even the intruders seemed to hesitate. Waiters and patrons exchanged glances, bewildered by the unexpected command. Marcus's heart skipped. It was a language from his past, one he thought he'd left behind. The masked figure, momentarily taken aback, struggled to regain composure. "Shut up. Nobody speaks, let me guess," the speaker continued, unfazed. "You're here for something more than money. You're here for the truth that's been buried." Marcus's breath caught. That voice, it felt familiar, like a thread from his past woven through this moment. "What is happening?" he muttered, confusion clouding his thoughts. The woman turned towards him, an intensity in her gaze that sent a shiver down his spine. Perhaps now, the real game is about to begin. What truth could the masked figures possibly be after? And who, among the chaos, held the key to uncovering the past that haunted them all? The tension in the restaurant was palpable, a living entity that crackled in the air. Every heart held its breath as the voice continued, each word an echo of power laced with danger. Marcus locked eyes with the woman beside him, and her unwavering demeanor only deepened his confusion. "Do you know him?" he whispered, his voice barely audible over the sound of chaos. "A fragment of my past and perhaps yours," she replied cryptically, her focus still on the masked men who moved with unnatural precision. Marcus pressed himself against the table, ducking as a second loud crash obscured a scream. His mind raced. Who was this man? What truth was buried? The masked leader took a step forward, his expression hidden behind the black fabric. "You think you can speak for us?" he growled. "You're out of your league, German." "Am I?" The voice shot back, a calm arrogance cutting through the fury. "You don't even know what you've stumbled into." In that moment, Marcus felt the world tilt on its axis. The masked intruder's stance showed uncertainty. What in the world was going on? "Keep them quiet." The leader barked, looking to his companions, urging them to regain control. One of the masked figures, less composed than the others, gripped his weapon tighter, ready to unleash chaos. "Stand down," the voice ordered. It was the kind of voice that commanded not only authority but demanded respect. "You don't want this to escalate." Suddenly, time seemed to stretch. Marcus could feel the collective heartbeat of those around him, the silent pleas for safety and clarity. The older man near the entrance had inched closer to the walls, his body trembling, while the waitstaff stood frozen, white as ghosts. "What are they after?" Marcus mumbled, muscles coiled in anticipation. His world had become a tightrope walk between fear and bravery, and every second felt like an eternity. The woman drew closer, her breath warm against his ear. "Remember, Marcus, not everything is what it seems. Sometimes, the most volatile truths are rooted deep in our histories." A flicker of realization ignited within him. The past he thought he had buried was creeping back, vying for recognition amid the chaos unfolding before them. The longing urge to understand, to confront those memories, surged in his chest. Before he could voice his thoughts, another loud gunshot thundered through the restaurant, causing shards of glass to rain down around them. Screams erupted once again, bodies scattering. Panic ignited like wildfire, and Marcus dove under the table, adrenaline coursing through him. "Stay down," the woman called, but her voice was drowned by the chaos. Marcus's heart raced, each thud reverberating through him as he carefully peeked out. The masked figures were moving, their intentions shrouded in uncertainty. This was no ordinary robbery, his thoughts collided. The voice had stirred something deep within him. Truth or danger? Would confronting the masked intruders expose the answers he so desperately needed or lead him into a trap he couldn't evade? Marcus. The voice surged again, commanding attention, cutting through the din. Join us or stay behind. Choice is yours. As the last word echoed, the restaurant door swung open, revealing a blinding light that pierced the fear lurking in the shadows. Figures stepped inside, cloaked in uniforms marked with insignias. A surge of urgency gripped him. What had he just walked into? And what would happen next when shadows finally intertwined with the truth? The door burst open with a crash, the blinding light flooding the darkened room like an invading army. Uniformed figures poured in, tactical gear glinting beneath the stark lighting, weapons drawn and positioned with lethal precision. On the ground. Now. One of them barked, his voice a thunderclap over the shrieks and chaos. People froze. Time collapsed again. Marcus remained crouched beneath the table, pulse hammering, heart skipping erratically as he stole a glance at the unfolding drama. The masked intruders hesitated, surprise flickering across their hidden features. Stay with me. The woman beside him hissed. There was urgency in her tone, a call to action. We can't let them see us. What do we do? Marcus whispered back, straining to hear over the chaos. Was this salvation or a deeper plunge into danger? Trust me, she said, her eyes fierce. We need to reach the back exit. The masked leader's composure cracked as he shifted, eyes darting between the newcomers and his anxious comrades. We don't need to be here. He yelled, but doubt tinged his voice. Keep control, now. One of the other masked figures growled, but even he sounded shaky, with breaths intermingling in fear. Marcus felt the weight of choice pressing down. This was his moment. Would he cling to his past, or dive into the unknown, faced with truths he wasn't ready to confront? Follow me. The woman urged, slipping out from under the table with lithe grace. Without thinking, Marcus followed, instincts igniting a mindless courage as they flitted towards the edge of the chaos. He glanced back, unease curling in his stomach as he saw a couple lying on the ground, petrified and wide-eyed. He almost stopped, but the woman grabbed his arm. Now, Marcus. We have to go. Dodging unsteady tables and scattered chairs, Marcus couldn't shake the whispers of the past ghosting through his mind. Memories of promises made, shadows from his childhood flickering in the corners as if they'd been waiting, poised for this very moment. The first burst of gunfire from those new intruders sent a wave of panic crashing over the room. Glass shattered again, raining down like malevolent confetti. Screams erupted, blending into a horrible symphony of fear. The masked figures discovered their resolve cracking in the tide of uncertainty and chaos. Retreat! Barked the leader, but it was too late. The tactical crew advanced, moving with purpose, clearing the room, expertly diffusing the seated crowd from the violence that spilled like an open wound. Marcus stumbled, swiftly leaning against the doorframe as the chaos continued. He and the woman were outside in the sun's glow, and the air felt thick with tension and fear. However, it also held a chill of clarity. Who are they? He gasped, breathing hard, heart still racing. What do they want? The answer is more complicated than you think, she said, glancing back through the doorway, uncertainty swirling in her eyes. But they know about us. The reality hung heavy between them, like leaden clouds ready to unleash a storm of truth. The past was behind him now, but not forgotten. Shadows lurked everywhere, waiting. As the chaos inside the restaurant slowly dissipated, Marcus caught a glimpse of that masked leader moving purposefully towards him, jaw set, eyes locked as if he recognized something buried deep within Marcus. What had just transpired? And why did his heart tell him this was only the beginning of a much darker chapter? He tightened his grip on the woman's arm, fear coursing through him anew. Would running lead them to safety or into an even greater abyss? Breathless, Marcus and the woman darted down an alley, the sounds of chaos fading into the distance but not leaving his mind. The adrenaline surged through him, a lifeline as they navigated past looming shadows and flickering lights. The world outside felt surreal, a stark contrast to the brutal reality they had just escaped from. "Where are we going?" he urged, panic bleeding into his voice. His heart raced, the haunting specter of that masked leader clawing at the edges of his mind. "To a safe place. I promise," she replied, an edge of urgency reinforcing every word. "We don't have much time. They'll hunt us down. They always do." Stumbling to keep up, Marcus wrestled with his thoughts. Who were they? What did they want? Digging deeper into the chaos, a feeling twisted within him, a mix of confusion and a fluttering anticipation. There was something about the woman beside him, something he couldn't quite grasp. The back exit? He muttered, almost to himself. What was at stake? A shadow crossed her face, but then the fierce spark returned to her eyes. "You should have never been there, Marcus. You don't understand what this is about." "What is it about?" His frustration bubbled over. "You can't just drop hints and expect me to follow blindly." She stopped, grabbing his shoulders. "Listen to me. You have something they want. Something that could change everything." Her grip tightened, squeezing reassurance through their shared fear. Marcus searched her eyes, trying to gauge the truth in her words. "What do you mean? Just tell me." His voice cracked, desperation creeping in. She exhaled sharply, the weight of secrets pressing against their skin. "Remember the marks on your wrist?" She pressed, her voice suddenly low. "You weren't just a witness, you were chosen." A cold shiver snaked down his spine, connecting dots he never wanted to see. The marks he had chalked up as a childhood mistake suddenly felt like anchors to something darker. Suddenly, a sharp noise behind them shattered the moment, heavy boots pounding against the pavement, voices yelling. Fear ignited in Marcus's chest. "They're coming!" he barked, dragging her back into the shadows. The alley twisted and turned, dark corners beckoning like portals to nowhere. They ducked into a narrow passage lined with graffiti, each splash of color echoing the chaos of the last few minutes. But as they turned a corner, a flash of steel glinted from the darkness. A figure stood blocking the exit. Marcus felt the heavy pulse of dread settle in his stomach. "Stop!" the figure shouted, voice a smooth blend of authority and menace. Marcus glanced at the woman, whose eyes were wide with recognition. "It's him," she breathed. The figure stepped closer, features obscured by the low light, but the outline was unmistakable. It was the masked leader from the restaurant, now unmasked but equally menacing. "Marcus. You've come a long way, but the journey isn't over yet. What do you want?" Marcus stammered, stepping back instinctively. "Simple," the leader said, a sly grin creeping across his lips. "I want the truth, and you're the key." Marcus's heart thundered in his chest. The weight of the truth loomed large, the stakes climbing higher. The woman beside him gripped his sleeve, urgency tinged with fears he was beginning to share. "We need to move. Now." Before Marcus could register the imminent danger, the leader's voice cut through, cold and clear. "You can run, but you can't hide from what you are meant to face." As they turned to flee deeper into the maze, Marcus felt the impossibility of the situation crashing over him. He was being dragged into a shadowy world he barely understood, and the weight of truth was becoming unbearable. Each step forward felt like a step into the unknown. But he couldn't turn back now. They were in this together, for better or worse. The question loomed now: what was the truth, and was he really ready to find out? Behind them, voices grew louder, echoing hope and menace in equal measure. The chase had begun. The woman's grip tightened as they sprinted into the labyrinth of alleys, their footsteps echoing against the brick walls. Every corner they turned seemed to darken, the shadows growing heavier with each breath. Marcus's mind raced along with his heartbeat, a relentless drum marking the rhythm of panic. Who was this masked leader, and why did he want him? Just the thought of it sent chills crawling up his spine. "Keep going," the woman urged, her voice edged with desperation. "We have to reach the street." As they plunged deeper into the maze, the sounds of their pursuers surged behind them like a monstrous tide. Marcus could hear the metallic click of a weapon being cocked, a sound that amplified his fear. Reality split in two, one side was the frantic escape, and the other was the looming dread. He could feel his chest tighten, every inhalation pulling a little more tightly at his sanity. "What if they catch us?" he murmured, almost to himself. She turned to him, her eyes shining with a mix of fear and fierce resolve. "They won't if you trust me." Trust. The word felt heavy in his mouth, weighed down by the uncertainty of their situation. But as he watched her, determination burning in her gaze, something deep inside him whispered that he had no choice. "Okay." He gasped, pushing his legs harder. Suddenly, she halted in front of a rusty door, barely visible in the low light. "In here." Without hesitation, they ducked inside, the wood creaking ominously as she pushed it closed behind them. Inside, the room was dim, cluttered with discarded furniture and forgotten memories. Dust danced in the shafts of light streaming through broken windows. They leaned against the door, trying to catch their breath. Silence wrapped around them if just for a moment, and Marcus could hear the thud of his heartbeat pounding in his ears. Was this it? Were they safe for now? "Tell me everything," he demanded, his voice a shadow of its usual strength. "Please." She paced the small room, the tension electric. "They're not just after you, Marcus. They're after the artifact." His confusion deepened. "What artifact? I don't understand." "Your wrist," she whispered urgently, "the marks are linked to a powerful relic. It's the key to something ancient and perilous, and they need you to unlock it." "Unlock what?" he pressed, desperation pooling in his chest. "The secrets of a society that has existed for centuries, a society that will stop at nothing to protect its interests. You were meant to find it, but now they think you're a liability." The pieces started to fall into place, but a dark fear clawed at Marcus. He was in way over his head. "And the masked leader? What does he want from me?" She hesitated, her expression a mirror of his worry. "He believes he can control it, use you to harness its power." "If he finds you know," Marcus interrupted, his voice rising. "I can't let him use me. I have to know what I'm capable of. I need to fight back." Just then, a loud crash disrupted their moment. Shouts filled the air outside. The pounding footsteps grew closer, and Marcus's heart sank. "Time's up," he muttered, fear washing over him. "Follow me," she urged again, leading him towards another exit. They slipped through a narrow doorway into a narrow staircase spiraling upwards, darkness clinging to the walls. Each step felt like a countdown. Above them, the sounds of their pursuers growing louder filtered through, harsh and cold. As they reached the top, they emerged into a dimly lit rooftop. The city sprawled beneath them, glowing like a battlefield. But there was no going back. They were trapped. "Look!" she shouted, pointing. A way down to a neighboring building gaped open, a flimsy fire escape swaying in the night air. Before Marcus could voice a hesitation, she grabbed his hand, pulling him closer as another crash echoed below. "We jump." "Are you insane?" He felt a lump in his throat, the abyss below screamed fear. "No choice. Here we go." With a final, shared glance filled with unspoken resolve, they leaped into the void. The leap took an eternity, but in that moment, everything blurred: the chaos, the truth, the leader's icy resolve. Then they landed hard, the world shimmering into focus around them. But just ahead, a sudden noise snuffed out the moment, the unmistakable call of sirens slicing through the air. "What now?" Marcus asked, breathless and trembling, eyes darting around as panic rose again, but the fire in the woman's eyes sparked, her voice steady. "Now we run. The real chase begins." As they turned to flee once more, the ground trembled beneath them, shaking loose a reminder that nothing was ever truly safe. Behind them, shadows danced ominously, and ahead? Only the unknown. As they sprinted away from the edge of the building, the sirens blared closer, a cacophony that sent jolts of adrenaline coursing through Marcus. The woman pulled him down another narrow alley, their breath jagged as they navigated the treacherous terrain. The urgency pulsed in synchrony with their pounding hearts, an electric current fueling their escape. "Keep an eye out," she urged, her voice strained but resolute. "We can't stop until we lose them." Marcus nodded, fear clawing at his insides. "How do we even know where we're going?" He felt like a blind man trapped in an unfamiliar maze. "Trust me," she said, squeezing his hand tighter. The grip felt reassuring, grounding him in the chaos. Yet, the shadows felt alive, creeping ever closer with the sirens growling like hungry wolves. Suddenly, a loud crash rang out. It wasn't he from behind them but a head breaking glass, the sound ricocheting against the night. His stomach twisted. What was that? Are we getting cornered? No, she said sharply, shifting her pace. It's just distractions, they're trying to split us up. Whatever happens, stay close. They maneuvered through a tangled web of streets, the air thick and heavy around them. The mask of night seemed to close in as they plunged deeper into the heart of the city, the streets becoming increasingly labyrinthine. Marcus's thoughts spiraled, shouting hounds hunting them down, ancient artifacts, a masked leader lurking like a spider in the dark. Who was she, really? Just then, the woman skidded to a halt, dragging him behind a low wall, breathless, her eyes wide with urgency. "We need a moment." They crouched beneath the shadow, the sudden quiet almost deafening. It was too long before Marcus could hear the menacing whispers of their pursuers. Voices echoed back and forth, commands barked sharp and hostile. "Check that alley," one shouted. "They can't have gone far." Panic tangled with anger. "Why can't we just run?" Marcus demanded, fists clenching. "We need to get out of here." She turned to him, frustration painted sharply across her face. "If we just run, we'll lead them right to the artifact. We need to be smart." The anguish in her voice melted some of his frustration. His heart raced faster, betraying him. Maybe she was right. He felt trapped, ensnared in confusion, yet with each fleeting second, the threads of danger wound tighter. Suddenly, a figure materialized from the shadows, darting into view, a man in dark clothing, his face obscured behind a mask. Marcus's pulse skyrocketed. "Is that one of them?" "Stay down," she hissed, pulling him further back. They could feel the tension creeping around them like a suffocating fog. The masked man scanned the area, his posture predatory. "I know you're here, Marcus," he shouted, voice reverberating unsettlingly through the alley. "You can't hide from me. You think you can escape your destiny?" Marcus's breath hitched. How did he know his name? The woman's hand tightened around his wrist. "We have to move now." She pulled him into the next alley, further away from the confrontation. But Marcus hesitated, fear constricting around his throat. "He knows me." She turned, eyes fierce yet somehow gentle. "And that's why we can't stop. You're a target, but we'll figure this out. I promise." Ahead, the narrow alley opened up to a busy street. Lights danced, people moving about blissfully unaware of the chaos just behind them. "Through the crowd," she urged. With hearts pounding like wild drums, they darted into the throng of bodies. Every face seemed like a potential ally or a hidden enemy. Just as they skimmed past a hot dog cart, a pair of strong hands grasped Marcus's shoulders. "Stop." It was a woman. Her sharp gaze fixed on him, eyes locked in recognition. "Marcus? Is that really you?" The sound of the masked leader's threat echoed in his mind as uncertainty swelled. Was this a friend or another trap? Before he could answer, the woman beside him tugged at his arm again. "We can't waste time." But doubt gripped Marcus like an iron vice. "Wait. Who are you? Time's running out. Trust me." Her voice edged with desperation. The shadows behind them shifted like hunting wolves, and with that, everything rushed into chaos again. The crowd surged, the air thickening with tension and noise. A second too late, he let out a shout, but the city swallowed him whole. Would they escape, or would the masked leader finally catch up? Amidst the cacophony, something whispered from deep within the key to unraveling his past, hidden beneath layers of panic. Would he dare to confront it? A breath caught in Marcus's throat as chaos swirled around him. The arms held him fast, and the familiar voice sent a shock through his veins. "Marcus, please. It's me, Ava." Ava. His childhood friend, the one who had disappeared from his life as abruptly as summer fades into winter. But there was no time for nostalgia. He caught a fleeting glimpse of the masked leader, shadows moving just behind the crowd, anger emanating from him like a heat haze. "Marcus, we need to move." Ava's urgency broke through his daze, and without truly meaning to, he nodded, surrendering to instinct more than rationale. They pushed forward, the vibrant city blurring into an abstract canvas of sound, scent, and color, a stark contrast to the nightmare they had just escaped. People coursed around them, oblivious to the looming threat. Suddenly, the bustling crowd shifted, reshaping the landscape of anonymity into one of peril. "What is going on?" Marcus panted, eyes darting everywhere. "You can't just show up and expect me to believe everything will be okay." Ava looked fiercely at him. "I've been tracking the society for years. After you left Germany, I wasn't able to find you, but they know about the marks. They're dangerous. You're part of something much bigger than yourself." Her gaze locked onto his, imploring seriousness beneath the fear. "What do you mean?" He felt an icy grip around his chest, like reality was unraveling into something darker. "Your wrist marks, they're not just markings, they signify a legacy. You were chosen." The unyielding pressure of her words hung heavy in the air, each syllable pulsating with urgency that made Marcus's head spin. Before he could respond, a sharp shout cut through the crowd. "There they are. Don't let them get away." Marcus's heart raced as he and Ava exchanged glances, panic flaring anew. The masked leader and his band of followers pushed through the throng, eyes narrowed and intent on capturing him. It was a game of hide and seek turned deadly, and they were the hunted. "Run!" Ava urged, spearheading their escape into a side street, arms pumping, dodging pedestrians who barely recognized the bleak whirlwind unfolding in front of them. The sounds of footsteps thudded behind them, an unyielding metaphor for the inescapable past. As they turned corner after corner, Marcus was less interested in the streets and more in keeping up with Ava, whose determination shone brighter than the streetlights overhead. "What is it they want from me?" he gasped. "To control what's in you. Your blood holds power, it can access realms that should remain shut." The intensity of her voice drew him deeper into the truth, a line of unbroken tension stretching between them. "We can stop it, Marcus. If we get to the archive." A sudden crack of gunfire echoed down the alley, silencing the city. "Go!" she called, shoving him forward into a narrow staircase that led to an old doorway embellished with years of wear. A rush of adrenaline propelled him as he burst through the door, Ava close behind. They slammed it shut, leaning against it, gasping for breath in a small room filled with forgotten relics. Here Ava quickly paced in the dim light, rummaging through drawers and boxes, scattering old papers like fallen leaves. "If we can find the artifact, we can end this." "What's the artifact?" "The key to understanding the society's true purpose, their connections to your lineage, and the dark plans they've sworn to keep buried." She paused, fighting against her rising panic. "We'll need it to fight back." Marcus's chest tightened. The weight of everything that was happening pressed down on him. His life felt like it was collapsing under the enormity of secrets. "And if we don't?" "If we don't, they will use you, Marcus and countless others." Her voice broke slightly, fear cracking the brave exterior she wore like armor. Suddenly, distant shouts echoed in the hallway, the loud echo of footsteps striding closer. "Here!" Ava exclaimed, pulling out a small, ornate box, its surface intricate and shimmering even in the dark. This is what they want. Can we open it? No time. She hissed, grabbing his hand. He could feel the urgency pulsating like an electric current as they braced themselves, preparing to confront their fate together. The door trembled under forceful knocks, and Marcus's heart raced. There was no turning back now. Remember, whatever happens, we face it together, Ava affirmed, confidence seeping through the cracks of despair. The door burst open, framing the masked leader against the stark light of the hallway. A sudden flicker of recognition ignited in his eyes as he shouted, "You think you can escape your destiny? Hand over the key." With no option left, Marcus stepped forward, grasping Ava's hand tightly, determination seeped through his fingertips. "You don't know the half of it." In that instant, the air hummed with electric promise. The shadows that haunted him became emboldened shapes of resolve. "We're not just running anymore." As they charged toward their destiny, the rest of Marcus's life lay ahead, one of treasure or tragedy, truth or deception. The weight of the future rested with them now as they stepped into the unknown, ready to uncover secrets centuries in the making, determined to take a stand against whatever darkness awaited. Side by side against an unseen tide, Marcus let out an echoing breath. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. As the storm of their fate approached, the pulse of vengeance beat loud and clear. This is your moment, people. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories unfolding. Smash that like button now and feed the algorithm. It's your support that keeps us going. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about Marcus's journey and what it all means. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the thrill together.